Hello there everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games. Today we are talking a little bit more about this mysterious new Nintendo Switch Online playtest program because the applications actually went up this morning and oh my goodness, they went instantly. Like they said it was going to be limited to 10,000 people. I did not think it would go out as fast as it did. I luckily got in, I'm very happy to say I did get into the program as well as my girlfriend Olivia. So we were both able to get in, so I'll be able to do a video on it whenever this does come out. But the applications filled up like literally instantly. Within like 30 seconds they were gone. I was on a call with my friend Tucker from Backlog Banter and it was instantaneous how fast these things went away, which is so crazy to me because we don't even know what this is. We don't even know what we are playtesting, and yet there were still 10,000 people just sitting at their computers waiting to try to get in. And looking at the reactions on Twitter, it looks like a lot of people did get in, but also I'm seeing a lot of people, including like other YouTubers and stuff and journalists, that despite trying to get in like at 8 a.m. this morning, they were not able to. So this is very weird because it's just like we don't even know what it is, and yet people are still frothing at the mouth to actually know and to play test whatever this is. But we do have some new information that I wanted to talk about, and also some more speculation, some more theories on what this could actually be. It seems like a lot of people have kind of pinned down to thinking it might be GameCube streaming related. I actually talked about that in yesterday's video, although we do have some more hints and inclinations towards that to talk about. But also, we now know when we will likely be hearing more, as we have a date for when they will be sending us a download code for the software. So we're going to be talking about all of that and more in today's video. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch news, reviews, discussions, all that fun stuff if you enjoy that kind of thing. Let's get into it. All right, so good Thursday morning, everybody. To catch you all up, if you missed yesterday's video, at 3 p.m. yesterday, Pacific time, Nintendo announced this new Switch Online playtest program. They said in the tweet here, we will be performing a test related to a new feature for Switch Online on Nintendo Switch. Starting 8 a.m. Pacific on October 10th, existing Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack members will be able to apply on a first-come, first-served basis. And that's basically all the information we had. Now, we have gotten a couple other details, including the very crucial new information that they say, well, in the little screen here, if you are selected, here's mine. It says, we will provide detailed guidance on how to participate along with a download code for the software on this application page. Please come back around October 20th PDT for more information. So on October 20th, which is I think 3 days before the playtest actually starts, we will be getting a download code for the software, which means since we're actually getting a download code, I kind of thought it would just be like on the eShop, right? If you get selected, it'll pop up on your Switch home screen or something, right? Since we're actually getting a download code, that kind of means they have to give us some information before, right? So on October 20th, I would expect some sort of trailer. That might be October 20th in the evening, so that way it's Monday morning in Japan. But we now kind of have a deadline for when we can actually expect some details on what this is. I would expect some sort of overview trailer or just information in general telling us what this is, because we're going to get a download code. It is going to be a separate application here. Now, looking at Oatmeal Dome on Twitter, they are a great Twitter account to follow if you're into like Nintendo Switch Online classic games, and like they do a lot of data mining and stuff. He says here, if you were accepted to the playtest program, Nintendo will give you an eShop download code for special software around October 21st, Universal Time Code, so October 20th in America. You will need 2.2 gigs of free space. Nintendo also recommends using TV mode and a wired connection during the test. So those are two very, very important pieces of information. It is a 2.2 gig download for the software, right? But also they are recommending that you use TV mode and use a wired connection, which I'm sure Nintendo has done in the past, but also I can't think of any instances of that off the top of my head. So when we heard that they are recommending you use a wired connection and use it in TV mode, everybody kind of jumped on the idea of it being streaming. And I still think the likeliest scenario, maybe it's me kind of trying to, set up my expectations for a little bit of disappointment. I do think that some sort of a game streaming, be that GameCube, be that Wii, be that even just regular Switch games being streamed to your console, I think that is the most likely scenario for what this is, because I don't really know what else it will be. We'll talk about that more, but if it were just a regular application, like let's say it was just GameCube NSO, and they're just adding GameCube to Switch Online, and that's like how it's been, right? Like they add a new console, you get in there, you download all the games. If they were doing that, why do it in this way? Nintendo has never done a playtest program like this, which to me says that it's something they haven't really done before, or at the very least, they're presenting the content in a way they haven't done before. So I do think streaming of some fashion kind of makes the most sense here. But also that file size, 2.2 gigs of free space, indicates that it's not streaming, I think, because if it were just a streaming application, they wouldn't need 2.2 gigs of storage space taken for a streaming application. Normally those applications are like literally maybe a gig at most, maybe sometimes even like 50 megs, just to kind of have the menu so that you can connect to the server and stream the data to your console. 2.2 gigs indicates that there's actually some meaty data, even though 2.2 gigs is still like really small, right? It does indicate that there's actually some sort of content here that is not being streamed. So I don't know, man. I want to say it's streaming because I do want to set myself up for that disappointment a little bit, but at the same time, that does indicate there is something else going on here, which is very intriguing, I must say. The way that Nintendo has announced this and is marketing it is so weird. It's kind of like how they did Emio earlier this year. If you remember, during the summer, they just posted those really cryptic teasers of Emio the Smiling Man, right? We didn't know it was a Famicom Detective Club game until a week later. They know what they're doing. They are letting the fans' minds run wild. They know what they're doing. So on the one hand, I want to set myself up for disappointment because it really could be anything. On the other hand, we've seen them do something a little similar this year, and they know that Nintendo fans are crazy and they're gonna go crazy with speculation. So I've seen so many different ideas for what this could actually be. Some people think it might literally just be a new game, like an F-Zero 99. I mean, that's definitely possible, honestly. Like, that's totally fair game. Some people think it could be a streaming application, as we've discussed, and I'll talk more about the GameCube thing in a minute. Some people think it might be stress testing servers for when the Switch 2 comes out. Maybe they're going to switch to more dedicated servers for some of their games or something. I talked about it in yesterday's video, but the idea of an achievement system or a trophy system, more social features. I mean, this could be like a party chat application, maybe, or something, right? This could be a Miiverse type thing. People have talked about that a lot over the past 24 hours. Maybe it's a Miiverse replacement. The sky is the limit, frankly. I mean, this could literally be anything, which is what makes it so much fun to speculate. I would say for the social features thing, I mean, maybe, right? And I do think that if it is like more of a system level thing, right? If it is achievements, if it is trophies, if it is some sort of social networking stuff, right? This is them setting up for Switch 2 in a similar way. If you remember back in 2021, when Mario Party Superstars, right before that game was announced, they added online to Super Mario Party to kind of just test out how online would work in a Mario Party game. They use Super Mario Party as a testing grounds to kind of get ready for Mario Party Superstars. I think it is very possible, not guaranteed, but very possible that they are doing a similar thing here, where whatever this ends up being actually is something that is being kind of just future-proofed for the Switch 2. I mean, it's completely possible that they are laying the groundwork for us and kind of just setting up the Switch 2 right before our eyes, which is so crazy to think. I will say before they announced the file size for this thing, I even saw people speculating that they might be like doing some sort of exclusive Switch 2 pre-orders through this, like maybe it was secretly Switch 2 pre-orders. I don't think that's the case because it's an application, but I mean, yeah, like I said, the sky is really the limit. I got a lot of comments on yesterday's video about Miiverse maybe coming back. That'd be really awesome. I loved Miiverse, or even Street Pass, actually. I saw some comments about Street Pass, too. I mean, it's not impossible to be one of these things, right? Nintendo did remove integration with Twitter, I think. Is there still Facebook integration on Switch? Let me know in the comments below. I think there probably still is, but they've distanced themselves from X or Twitter, right? Maybe they're thinking, okay, with Switch 2, we want to go back to having our own kind of platform for people to share their photos and that kind of thing. Some sort of like bulletin board for screenshots and video clips. That's very possible. Honestly, like Miiverse coming back in 2025 or 2024, low-key kind of makes a lot of sense from that angle. They don't want to be associated with Elon Musk and Twitter and all that. It's kind of just, there's really no benefit at a certain point. Like, yeah, there's a benefit in that they're getting free promotion, but on the other hand, Nintendo has a very certain type of company image. They don't want to be associated with certain people like Elon Musk, so maybe it really could be a Miiverse thing. I mean, that would be really cool to see come back and just have a nice way to share your screenshots and your clips, and maybe you want to even have like a messaging thing, right? Maybe it would just be screenshots and clips that you can kind of look at or something along those lines, but even that would be awesome, just a way to do that. And then maybe you have like a phone app, maybe you have a web-based version. That would be pretty cool. But I wanted to talk more about the possibility of this being a GameCube NSO related app, because we actually have a little bit of reason to believe this. Now, reading from a FamiBoards post by user Luigi Blood back in July, and I'll have this link down below as well as the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit post on this. They basically track shipping data for like custom parts and everything, and they kind of deduce that Nintendo is likely making a GameCube Switch Online controller back in July. And I think I actually might have made a video on it back then, but reading from their post here, they found shipping data for a part called LDOL, which they say here could potentially mean L Classics Dolphin, a GameCube Switch Online controller. So Dolphin, of course, being the codename for the Switch. They say here L Classics is the codename for all the retro NSO apps and services, which explains why the NSO controllers have internal names on Switch, such as Lark, Lucia, Lagoon, Lager, lots of names that start with L, and then Dolphin, I of course refer to the GameCube's code name. Now, frankly, there's a lot of talk of components in this post that I do not understand, so I'll have it linked down below, like I said, but he does clarify here, this is not evidence that LDOL is a GameCube NSO controller, but something related to the GameCube is definitely going on. So even as far back as July, a few months ago, we heard rumblings that Nintendo may be producing new GameCube controllers for the Nintendo Switch with the same kind of codename structure of the other Nintendo Switch Online controllers. So it sounds like there is a Switch Online GameCube controller coming. With this happening now, I really do feel like the pieces are kind of lining up for this, whatever this is, to be some sort of GameCube Online thing. Now, I guess at that point, the major question is, will this be a streaming application, or will this actually be like the other apps where you can actually just play games downloaded natively to your hardware? I sincerely hope it is not streaming at all, and I guess it's possible that, unlike with NES and SNES and GBA and even N64, it's possible that they would want to playtest this in a way they haven't done before with this beta. It's possible they would want to do that because GameCube is just a little bit more intensive, right? You're going to want to make sure that the connection in these games is a little bit sturdier than an 8-bit ROM, right? So maybe that's why. Maybe they just really need to actually test the online play in a GameCube game as opposed to with, NES, SNES, even GBA and N64. Like, those are all pretty similar, I imagine, in getting them to work. Whereas with GameCube, it might require a little bit more. Like I said, I'm not a tech expert, so maybe that's off base, but maybe that's why they're doing the beta test. Maybe because having online playing GameCube games like Parsec or something is a little bit more complex than just some NES ROMs. And I really, really hope that's the case. I've talked in the past about how I was kind of against the idea of GameCube NSO, not because I didn't want it. Obviously, I want that, but also I just didn't think it really made sense from a business perspective on Nintendo's part. But now that I've thought about it, and I've kind of changed my tune on it over the past couple of months, when you look at all of these systems currently represented on NSO, they're kind of running out of games. Nintendo is actually kind of running out of games. Now, they could always kind of go to the well of like third party, and if they want to work out those deals, they can kind of fill it up with that. But for GBA, I mean, we're really down to the wire. We're getting the F-Zero games tomorrow, actually. There's really not much left. I can pull out a couple examples like Rhythm Tengoku, some Pokemon spinoffs, right? For N64, there's some more rare stuff. There's a couple things there like Smash Bros. They haven't done. For NES and SNES, though, those are pretty much tapped. They kind of need a new platform to be introduced, and GameCube would make the most sense because they can't really do DS on the Switch as it is. They can't do Wii as easily as they would with GameCube, so GameCube does kind of make sense. But one of the reasons I was always hesitant to believe it is because Nintendo has shown this generation that they can get away with selling GameCube remakes for a full price, or at the very least sell them as a full kind of new game, like they did with Metroid Prime Remastered, like they just did with Thousand Year Door earlier this year. But also, the GameCube library is very weird, and actually a lot of those games don't really make sense to get remakes. All of the Mario Party games, Smash Melee, you can talk about Double Dash, Wario World, Chibi Robo, maybe even Luigi's Mansion 1. These are all games that don't necessarily need to get a full remake. I think some of them could, like Luigi's Mansion 1 I've talked about. I think that game could get a full remake with how popular Luigi's Mansion is. But maybe they just put them on some sort of Switch Online service. That is definitely possible because a lot of those games would not get remakes. Mario Party, Smash, Mario Kart, like these games would not get remakes. Wario World, Geist, Eternal Darkness. Nintendo's never going to touch these games again, realistically. Even something like F-Zero GX, which I know has been the topic of much rumors and speculation over the years as to getting a proper remake on Switch. That's a game they can just put on Switch Online. Heck, even Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, the standard versions, they could probably throw those on there as well, because seemingly we're never actually getting those Wii U remasters. So there's plenty of content there in terms of games that like wouldn't necessarily get proper full $60 remakes and remasters that they could offer on a service like this that are kind of just sitting there unused to begin with. So from that perspective, GameCube Online actually does make a lot of sense. And yeah, it's also worth considering as well, this playtest is exclusive to Switch Online Plus expansion pack members, which GameCube almost certainly would be exclusive to. If N64 and Genesis games are exclusive to the expansion pack tier, GameCube is definitely going to be. In fact, I'm honestly surprised if it is GameCube that they wouldn't do more. Now, I guess with that file size of 2.2 gigs, that doesn't necessarily bode super well for being GameCube, but what if it's just a few GameCube games? I mean, what if it's literally just Mario Kart Double Dash, Kirby Air Ride, and like Luigi's Mansion? I'm not sure what the file size on that would be, but that might be about right. I'm not too sure. I'm not as familiar with GameCube file sizes. So maybe they just have you testing a few GameCube games, and then, they'll do a full launch of this application early next year, maybe later in this year. I don't know. I think my bet is on some sort of GameCube thing, especially because we have that shipping data for the controllers. Whether or not it's actually games being downloaded natively to your console or being streamed, That is the big twin cost for me at this point. But like I said earlier, the sky really, really is the limit. So I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think this will end up being now that we know the file size, now that we know they're kind of recommending that you have it plugged in and connected to an Ethernet port? That, I mean, that doesn't really necessarily mean anything. I think it could kind of indicate maybe it's more streaming related, but also it is Switch Online, so you're going to be playing online. So of course they're going to say, like, you want to have the best, conceivable setup possible for testing this application. I don't know, man. It could be anything. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch news, reviews, discussions, all that fun stuff. I did post a reaction as well as kind of a discussion about Mario and Luigi Brothership earlier this morning because we did get an overview trailer for that. So definitely check out that video. But until next time, folks, peace.